What's going on, y'all? It's Foos here, and today we got a fun one. We're going to talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Let's do it. What's going on, y'all? It's Foos here. We're not going to waste a lot of time today. We are going to go ahead and dive right into this because we got a wild and wacky ride to cover here with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, this movie would be released in October of 1982 and was a far departure from what we've got in the first two films. Mainly, there's no Michael Myers, there's no Laurie Strode. We went in a totally different direction here. And the powers that be had just decided that Michael Myers' time had come and passed, character had run its course, they wanted to go in a different direction. And kind of in a way, goes back to the original, nugget that brought us here, where they just had this concept of wanting to do a movie based around Halloween. That was what this anthology series was intended to be. Every year or so many years, I'm not really sure what the gap was going to be there, but we were going to get a new standalone film in this anthology series based around Halloween. Now we'll get into more about how that all worked out as we go along here, but for more general info, we got Tommy Lee Wallace working to write and direct this film, along with the assistance of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who would be producers on this one. John Carpenter would also partner with Alan Howarth to compose the score that we get in this film. And then we'd also get a return from Dean Cundy, the master cinematographer here, to lend his work on this one. As far as cast goes on this, we'd get acting performances from Tom Atkins, who's awesome, as Dr. Daniel Chalice. We get Stacey Nelkin, who would play Ellie Grimbridge, the daughter of one of our first victims of the film. And then we would get Dan O'Harely as Colonel Cochran, who's our main villain of this movie. And this movie would definitely be met with a lot of negative criticism early on. So the reception to this film did not go great. I believe it only went on to make about roughly $14 million at the box office. So yeah, didn't do so hot. As far as what we got going on as a plot for this movie, it's it's a crazy one here. But this film would kind of take a wild turn, as I said earlier, and get away from Michael Myers. But not only do that, but we go into a totally different sort of realm of territory here, where we have this situation where the film follows a doctor, Dr. Daniel Chalice, who witnesses a patient murdered at his hospital, and then subsequently the attacker, what appears to be committing suicide in the parking lot. Then the daughter of this victim shows up, Ellie Graimbridge, played by Stacey Nelkin, and he proceeds to kind of latch on to her and follows her, and the two of them end up tracing the origins, I guess, of all with the evidence they gather from her father's death back to this company, the Silver Shamrock Company, and it's in this weird little town that, when you go, as soon as they get there, everybody there seems kind of standoffish to them, and you can tell it's one of those towns where if they don't recognize you, they know something strange about you. You don't belong here. It's a very weird town, and there's this company there. They produce these Halloween masks that are all the rage with kids. Everybody's buying them for their kids. Kids got to have them because this mask is also being advertised with this big television event that's going to happen on Halloween. Must see TV. Kids are all going to be glued to their TVs with these masks on when this happens. Now, as they investigate this company and Cochran, the guy who's leading it, a little bit, we start to get some wild details that will ultimately lead us to the main goal of this film as far as the antagonist goes. And that is Cochran's intentions are to mass distribute these Halloween masks to all these children, and then on Halloween have them stationed in front of their televisions for a giveaway sort of Halloween television event, whatever. And in doing so, he has incorporated in these masks with this weird Celtic witchcraft through wild means. He has made these masks react in such a way where when these kids watch this transmission on the television, they're all going to basically be murdered. So that's what we got going on here. Just an absolutely wild plot. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll dive into my thoughts on this and what I see as positives for this one. All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the positives for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just put my thoughts out there on the bold change of direction that this movie took. Now, even though I absolutely love Michael Myers and I adore everything that comes with that character, and I'm glad we did get Michael Myers back eventually and all that, I actually do appreciate and enjoy though the bold direction that this took to completely change course like this, and to do so with this plot that they did. I mean, it is it is definitely out there, and you've got to kind of be willing to overlook for sure some questionable things, particularly down the stretch in it. But I like it. I mean, I really think that the wild ass concept that they came up with here, and you have to kind of appreciate the ability to be so willing to to attack children in this plot, because that's something that horror movies of the time didn't really touch. I mean, hardly ever. It was a very taboo thing to think about anything like that. So its take no prisoners approach is definitely something that I appreciate. And even though the plot does get a little a little wild towards the end, kind of questionable with some things, I do enjoy it. And I think the overall concept is pretty sweet of doing the whole anthology series just with various different Halloween concepts over time. In a way, it almost kind of made me think of like an adult Goosebumps film series or something like that. Like the concept's pretty cool. Um, yeah, that's a positive for me. And if for nothing else, then I just kind of admire and appreciate the boldness and the balls that it took for them to do it. At this point, even just through two films, I mean, Michael Myers was a pretty established horror figure at that point. So to be willing to say, you know what, we're not going to give them to you. We're going to do what we want to do on this one and try something completely different. That takes a certain something, and you got to appreciate it. So that's a positive for me, in particular with this first. Well, like I say, first we only got one, but this plot that they came up with on this one, I am a fan of. And now, much like what we get in the first and second film here, the score in this film is an absolute positive. Alan Holworth and John Carpenter partnered together to give us something truly iconic and I feel like extremely underrated, because maybe it's just the reputation that this movie has overall, and not a lot of people still to this day come around to it yet. So maybe that's just a part of it, and it's just an exposure issue. But I feel like the score in this movie is phenomenal, and it does an incredible job throughout of creating tension and a constant pulse at times. And I mean, at times it's borderline discomforting. I mean, there's a few scenes throughout this movie where, as you're watching what's going on the screen, and then you combine it with this sound that you're hearing, and it gets to the point where it's almost a little overwhelming. And that's just a testament to the power of what it accomplishes. I mean, it's a phenomenal score, and while it's completely different than what we get in the first two films, it still holds that John Carpenter quality to it. That when you hear it, you know what it is. So it's a huge positive in this movie. Kind of piggybacking off of consistent themes from the first two films, another positive in this one again is just the work we get from Dean Cundy. I mean, that guy is an absolute legend. I mean, so many shots in this movie just are awesome to see. I mean, when they get into the town and you get some of the the far shots of the town, they look awesome. When they're driving through the town, you get a cool little shot where they're just like a little small alleyway as the cars going past, and you just see one of I'm gonna call them, I guess, the henchmen, just standing there. Just throughout the movie, you get a lot of cool shots, and that's just consistent with the work you expect from Dean Cundy. The man's an absolute legend. Going on to another positive that I'll point out here for this one, I really enjoy the villains in this. Obviously, particularly Cochran, because that man, I mean, he's just pure evil, just kind of masquerading behind a calm ass demeanor and a creepy smile. But at any point throughout this movie, you never really see him sort of flip any switch and kind of change his demeanor and anything like that. He stays this calm, cool, collected presence throughout the entirety of the movie. And knowing what's lurking beneath the surface of this man and what he's capable of doing, I think there's an awesome aura that creates about him as a villain. Where at no point is this man ever like above like a five on the meter.
Why? Do I need a reason? Mr. Cupfer was right, you know. I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children.
I really am a fan of what we get with his henchmen as well, because all they really come off to is the naked eye until you see them, obviously, ripping people's heads off or whatever the hell the case may be. But they, until that point, they just come off as kind of maybe a little bit weird, but just guys in suits. And the concept of the guys in the suits being the heinous villains, there's definitely something you can take away from that. Yeah, the whole concept of the Silver Shamrock villain and Cochrane is the whole lead guy, mastermind. Definitely a powerful antagonist situation that we get in this movie. So moving on to my final positive here, it's going to be the kills that we get in this movie, and then obviously the effects that come with them. But a few that I'll point out here: the early on in the movie when Mr. Grimbridge is in the hospital and the guy comes in to to handle him, so to speak. The way he does it is so brutal. I mean, he really just takes his fingers and shoves them into this poor man's eye sockets and basically like breaks his skull. If that makes any sense at all. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Holy shit, that is insane. And then the fact that he just walks out of the hospital and goes and sets himself on fire in that car. Like when you're first watching this movie and you have no idea where we're going with this, that's an insane sequence. But yeah, that one I'll point out. Also, when we have our sales rep lady, I'm going to call her, I don't recall what her name is, and she's in the room across, and she has this silver shamrock mask that she's pulled the little plate, I guess you could say, off the back of it, and notice that it's got these chips inside of it, and she's kind of tinkering and messing with them, and she sets off some shit in this mask that shoots a beam out of it straight into her mouth, and like fucks her up all kinds of ways. But it's the aftermath of it and the effects that go into that are just gnarly as hell. And I mean, it's one of the ones you see and it's burned in your brain. Just as I'm sitting here talking about it, I can see it in my mind's eye right now. It's an incredible look that they accomplish with that, the aftermath of what happens there. That's a brutal one as well. And then the probably like the biggest one that everybody really remembers because of it, being, the payoff, so to speak, in a way to this movie, when we see our test scene, uh, where Cochrane is showing Dr. Chalice what's going to happen essentially to the rest of, you know, all these kids when they watch this Halloween transmission. We see the kid, obviously the way the mask starts like deforming on his face and everything is awesome, but then he goes down and then it starts coming out of the mask. We get all these bugs and all this fucked up shit coming out, and then eventually there's a snake. It's just awesome as hell. Wild as shit. I mean, I can understand how, some people either love or hate it, I guess, but I thought it was cool as shit. So yeah, those are positives for me on this one. I'm going to go ahead and transition over to what I got on negatives. All right, y'all. So now it's time to dive into those pesky negatives. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a lot of them on this movie. As if my positives didn't give it away. For the most part, I'm fond of this film. Um, but when I do put it under the microscope, I will give fair time here. When it does come to the plot, while I am a fan of it, and you know, I, I will not say there aren't any issues. Let's just say that when you get towards the end and we're getting our explanation from Cochrane about how this is all being accomplished, I'll admit that the whole Stonehenge thing and like how did they get it here, I don't quite fully see how this is all playing out exactly, but I was willing to go there for it. But I could certainly understand how some people watched that and were like, "This is fucking stupid." I could see it. So there are definitely some holes in the logic there, and some maybe a little bit of eye roll to some elements of the explanation that we get for the how here. I could certainly understand how we lost a lot of people with the we brought Stonehenge here, and now Stonehenge is creating this, you know, crazy ass fucking technology that's allowing us to kill a bunch of kids through the TV. I get it. So I will accept that that does start to become a negative towards the end of the movie. But probably the biggest negative for the movie, and definitely what did the most damage to the movie, in my opinion, and I don't think it's a crazy assessment to say that the marketing of this movie was a big miss. And now, while I was not alive in the time that this movie came out, full disclosure, I have talked to enough people, family members of mine and whatnot, that are horror fans that remember this movie coming out, and were Michael Myers fans and Halloween fans before, and remembering their reactions to it and kind of all of that. And I did my research a little bit and found out some different things. And like what I feel like was a big disservice to this movie is they kind of handled it like a classic bait and switch in a sense, where they were not upfront with the audience going in that this movie wasn't going to feature Michael Myers, or that this was going to be a complete departure from what the audience was probably expecting. That was all gone in blind for an audience expecting to see Michael Myers roaming through Haddonfield chopping up some teenagers. So that definitely sets you up for failure, I would say there. And then you couple that with the idea that, and maybe this is like a hindsight's 2020 type of thing, but calling it Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I think, has obviously gone down in the history books as a stupid decision on from most people's perspective and opinion. I feel like if you could have just gone into this and called it, Season of the Witch, a Halloween story, or something like that, would have been much better. And that would have definitely told the audience from the time they saw the preview, like, wait, a Halloween story. Okay, this is going to be a departure. This is going to be an offshoot of some sort, probably, or more than likely. And if you do that and are just a little more honest up front with the audience going in, they probably approach this film a lot differently. And then maybe the expectations are a lot different. Thus, the reaction is going to be a lot different. Because that's definitely two separate lenses. Being somebody in my perspective that went back to this movie after the fact, there's two separate lenses you can look at it from. You can go into this movie and watch it thinking, "Oh, Halloween Part 3." Or you can kind of know a little bit about what's happened and hear the story, and then go, all right, I'm not going to think of it as a Halloween movie. I'm just going to go into it and watch it like an 80s Halloween horror movie just called Season of the Witch. And if you go in without that expectation of Michael Myers or anything related to those first two films, and just watch this for what it is, I mean, I get it's still hated by some people, but I feel like if you go through that lens, it's hard to argue against this movie being a pretty awesome, if nothing else, just around the holiday of Halloween type of movie. But yeah, that's what I got on it here. As far as negatives go, we'll go ahead and add a couple final thoughts on the end here and wrap this one up. All right, so a couple final thoughts on this one that I got. As I kind of said before, while this has nothing to do with Michael Myers, and I'm glad ultimately that we do get that character back, I feel this movie does awesome to stand alone on its own, just as an awesome Halloween holiday rewatch. Uh, One of the most wildly unique concepts in a plot that you're gonna see, and yeah, I feel like hopefully over time more and more people are coming around to give this movie its due time, and it seems like that is the case. But one other final thought I'll add here too is that maybe this should have been in my positives, but the ending of the movie is awesome, and much like I liked the ending of the original Halloween, kind of for the sense that Michael was still out there, did not leave on a positive note. For all those same reasons, I kind of like this one as well. I mean, we get the movie ending with Dr. Chalice just screaming into the phone, and we know that we're kind of left on the edge there, believing, hey, he didn't get this one off in time at the end, and Cochran ultimately won.
Please stand by. Dark masks, gather round your TV set. Put on your masks and watch. All witches, all skeletons, all jack-o'-lanterns.
The third
gather
commercial,
round
it's
and
still on,
watch.
please.
Watch
Take off the
magic
third channel,
pumpkin.
the third channel, it's still
Watch.
running. Stop it, please, for God's sake, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to, please, stop it now, turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
And something about those downer endings that get me. So I do enjoy the ending of this movie. It is kind of cool also, another little final thought. Seeing Nancy Keys, aka Nancy Loomis, in this one as Dr. Chalice's ex-wife is kind of cool. And yeah, man, just the only other thing I got to say on this one is, God damn, that Silver Shamrock theme song. I mean, fuck, does anything get stuck in your head more than that shit does? I mean, damn it, man.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
That's all I got on this one, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and say, rating this one. This one's a 3 out of 5 for me, or 3.5 out of 5 for me, I should say. Silver Shamrock theme song got me all messed up. But that's all I got on this one, y'all. Be on the lookout for the next one. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share it with some horror friends. Appreciate y'all. See ya.